So this is part 6 of our shopping cart tutorial. Let's try to open this time our layout. So this is actually our layout already. So we have our login existing account, as well as email and password. This is on our index file. So let's try to click register this time. So currently it doesn't the layouts doesn't interact yet with the database. So what we wanted to do is we need to store the values entered by the user on our registration form to our database. Okay, so we are going to create this session. Now, let me just try to open phpmyadmin. Okay, so localhost, and we have here phpmyadmin. So basically what we have here, we have our shopping cart at the bottom. So then the data entered on our registration form should be stored in our members table. So if you consider remember our members table, we have the following fields: address, contact number, email address, first name, last login, last name, and we have our password. Now, one of the things maybe that you have noticed is that we didn't specify any username. Okay. Yeah, we didn't specify any username. So we will be using only our email address as our username. So going back here on our login page, if the user, the only time that we will be using our email address here as well as our specified password to enter into our account. Okay, so let's try it out this time. Let's try to code this time. Okay, so let me just try to open Minot. Okay, so we have our Minot++ already. So the very first thing that we need to do is, let's say I'm going to save this file. Now, let's try to save this file. Okay, web projects. Okay, let me just try to look for it first. It's under lessons, shopping cart. Okay. Now, I'll be adding a prefix process, then registration.php. Okay, let me just try to check. Okay, so I added the prefix process, which means all of the processes will have the prefix process. So let's say, for example, for our login, we're going to specify also process.login. So in our case right now, since we're doing the registration part, so we're going to add process that we're going to make the file name as process.registration.php. Okay, then let's try to click save. So we already have another file called process.registration. Now let's try to add our code. Okay, let's try to open our connect.php first. Okay, so we need to include, okay, let's try to include, okay, before that, if file exists, let's first try to check if the file does not exist. Okay, then we have here connect.php. Okay, throw new. Okay, we won't be using exception. Okay, let's decide to use echo. Enable to locate connect.php. Let's try to make it strong. Okay, let's try to put here exit. Now we added exit here on line 4 so that if ever that we're going to encounter an error, or if ever we cannot find the file, then we'll stop executing the code up until line 4. Okay, we'll only be displaying this error message. Otherwise, it will not execute anymore the script. Okay, so let's try to include the file this time. So include connect.php. Okay, so we're done with the connection. We are also able to check. Okay, so let's try to code this time. Let's try to open our registration page. So we have here our registration page. Now, for our registration page, try to make it a little bit small. Okay, try to make it big. Okay. Now, for our registration page, it contains the following fields. We have email address, password, first name, last name, and contact number. Now, this is on the upper part of the code or of our JavaScript is our form field validation. If you're still having trouble with the form field validation, you can actually check the previous tutorial, which is lesson number 4. Okay, let me try to check if it's lesson number 4. Yeah, it's introduction to it's lesson number 5 or part 5, which is form field validation, as you can see. Okay, now we will be adding also our AJAX here later. Okay, let's try for the meantime to work on our registration process. Okay, so SQL insert insert into, okay, let's try to check the name of our table. We have here members, since we wanted to store it on our members table. Insert into members. Okay, so we have the following. Try to specify our fields. So we have your address, contact number, address, contact number. Okay. Do we need to specify our address? Going back here, going back to our registration. No, we don't need to specify our address. We only need to specify the following fields here. So let's try to omit our address. Okay. Have your email, address. Then we have our password. We can actually just try to use enter if you're using PHP. So there's no need for us to concatenate our string. Okay, so basically we can do something like this. Okay, email address, password, contact number. Do you have your first name and last name? First name, last name. Okay, so to move this one at the bottom. Okay. Then we have values. Now for the values, since basically all of the details that we will be using are in string format, so we can just put S, that's how many string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 string values. Okay, S and S. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so this is already our SQL insert. Now, if ever later there will be an issue, we'll also be learning how to troubleshoot our SQL statement. Next is try to prepare our SQL statement this time. So we have there dollar statement is equals to mysqli prepare. Okay, we're going to specify our link identifier. Okay, go back here. So our link identifier, by the way, it's not link but it's con. Okay, so we're going to copy con. Okay, con. Then our SQL insert. Okay. Then this is actually where we can, or we will be binding our variables. Okay, so mysqli statement bind parameters, bind param. Okay, so we have our identifier statement, then our types 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then let's also try to specify our variables. Okay, so we have username, then we have our okay, no, not username, sorry, it should be email address. We have our password. Then we have our first name, last name, and contact number. Okay. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we're going to get the values from our registration form and store it already. Okay, let's try to go back here first, but we need to add our AJAX code. Okay, so what's our AJAX code? This is actually just this is the simplest AJAX code so far that I have seen. $post. Okay, so for $post, we have here, this is actually where we specify our processing file, or the file that we will be using to interact with our database. So we have process.registration.php. Then you have here comma. Okay. Okay. Do something like that. Now, this time, what we need to do is we need to specify the form names. Okay, so when you talk about form names, by the way, in AJAX, it can be it can be independent from the form name that was originally used on our actual form. So what we need to do is let's just try to use the same set of form name on our process that registration and use it also here on our registration page. Okay, so let's try to use email address. Okay, then we have here email. Okay, then password. Okay, we have here password, first name, colon, first name, last name, colon, last name. Then last, we have contact number, colon, contact number. Okay. Next thing that we need to do, okay, let's try to use the callback function. You have data and status. Okay, let's decide to put alert our status. Process, okay, so we already have it here. Then let's try to complete our code this time for our process that registration. Okay, so let's try to go back here first. Okay, so we have here okay, email address equals to $post, email address, colon, then we have password, $post, password, then first name, first name, last name equals post, last name, then finally we have contact number equals to $post, contact number. Okay, so Once everything is okay, it will actually it will be inserted correctly onto our database or to our table. Now for the password, we'll be using MD5 for our one-way encryption. Okay, so we can do something like that. Otherwise, okay, else. So to specify here, echo unable to prepare query $SQL insert. Okay, then MySQLi error. There's your link. Break. Okay. So to put again exit. Okay. So let's try it out this time. Where you have it here, alert status. This is where you can actually alert the status. Okay, let's try it out this time. Okay. Now for email address, you can put for the meantime sample@email.com. Password is 123. For the password, we don't need to specify the length of the password. You can just try to put three characters, one character. It's still up to you. If you want to enhance it, make it like for example limited to 6 characters. It's also up to you. But in my case, since I'm just trying to show you how to create a base shopping cart, so let's just try to keep it at a minimal. Okay, let's say for the first name, so to put maybe Michael, then Jordan. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then let's try to click login. Okay, success. Okay, so we have the prompt success. Click OK. Now, going back to our database. Okay, let's try to click this time members. Let's try to click browse. Okay, there's actually notice by the way that it didn't push through. Okay, so there's an error on our code. Okay. Now, as what I've said, we will also be trying to debug just in case there's an error. So I'm going to right click on my page. Then we have here inspect. Then console, debugger, network. Okay, let's try to go to network. Okay, click login. Okay, error status 200. It means actually that it's found. Okay, request. Okay, you have the following information. So sample@email.com, password, Michael. That's actually under network. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Response. Okay, so we have here undefined variable link. So you can actually check it under network. Then you have here response. Notice by the way that I generated an error. So undefined variable link on lesson on the path of my project shopping cart process that registration on line 27. Let's try to check it out. Okay, line 27. Going back here to our process that registration, let's go to line number 27. Okay, so we have this one. So there's an error. So instead of link, okay, going back to our connect.php, it should be the con. Okay, so I have to change it to con. Okay, so I have to save it again. So to go back here, reload the page. Okay, so it's already stored. I have to click login. Fields marked with asterisk are required fields because the password field is empty. So let's try to specify 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this 1, 2, 3. Then we have here login. Okay, success again. Okay, go back to so to click OK. Then network. Have to go back first to our database. Okay, so I'm on my phpMyAdmin again. Then browse. Okay, notice by the way that there's still some issues. There's still some error. Let's try to look for the error again. Okay, now unable to prepare query insert into unknown field S in the field list. Okay, there seems to be an error on our column name. So address, password, first name, last name, contact number, values. Okay, so let's try to check it out. Now, this is actually the error this time. So instead of using the letter S, it's try to it should be question mark. Now, as what I've said, I'm also currently showing you how to debug. Okay, so you have your question mark. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then okay, let's try to check it out this time. Reload the page again. Specify the password 1, 2, 3. Log in, success. Okay, click response. No response data available for this request. Okay, let's try to go back to our um, members. Then try to click browse. Okay, there's still it's still empty. Okay, let's try to check it even some more. Okay, request, response, headers. Okay. Okay, let's try to check it first. Mm, okay. Now, another way of checking, by the way, is trying to use echo. So echo $post. Then we have here email address. Okay. Specify here test. Okay. Reload the page again. Click here 1, 2, 3. Log in. Success. Okay. Test. We have your sample at email.com. So it means actually that this particular string is displaying. So this one actually is okay. Say to remove. Now, let's try to add the code this time, this particular code. So MySQLi statement execute. Now, what's the purpose of MySQLi statement execute? This is, by the way, the time that we are going to execute our query. So, then or execute our prepared statement. So you have your statement. Okay, let's try it out again. Going back here. Okay, specify 1, 2, 3. Then log in. Success. Okay, go back here. Browse. Okay, so we already have inserted our value. Okay, now let's try to do another set of code. Uh, so we were able to successfully insert the value on our database. Okay, but we we still need to check if the email address is duplicate or not. So how do we do that? So let's try to add another code, set of code. Okay, so we have here SQL check. Okay, so you have select email. Let's just select ID count. Okay, let's just select count ID from members where uh, email address equals to, so to specify question mark only. Okay, next is if, okay, we won't be using, okay, let's try to use prepared statements still, so that it will be, why are we using prepared statements? So that at least we can check it properly. At the same time also, we will be far from SQL injection. Okay, so let's try to this time. Okay, so we have here if dollar statement check equals to MySQLi prepare. Okay, we have con then SQL check. Okay. Then let's try to bind my SQLi statement bind param statement check, comma. Then we have, since we only have one and we're trying to use string, okay, we can use email address. Okay. Then we have here email address equals to $_post address. Okay. Then of course that's the time that we are going to execute. Okay. So we have here email address $=post email address. Okay. So let's try to execute this time. So MySQLi statement execute, then MySQLi statement check. Okay, try to okay. Let's add some more code this time. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to count the number of IDs returned. So try to put an alias as CTR. So basically what we did was try to create an alias for our ID. So it will return the number of rows and store it on our ID. Okay, so next thing that we need to do is let's try to bind this time our SQL statement and as well as our variable. So MySQLi bind statement bind result. Okay, then we have here statement check, comma, then we have our CTR. Okay, so we will be using this particular function as we go along even more. So currently we're going to use CTR. So why is it that we need to use CTR? So basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to bind CTR with this one. So we try to output whatever column or row or field we want to output should be binded by our statement, which is this one on our prepared statement. Okay, so this time let's try to loop while or maybe we can use a single. Okay, let's try to check if we can use this one. Row is equals to MySQLi statement fetch. Okay, statement check. Okay, then I think we need to use this one while okay, then echo CTR. Okay. So let's try to check if it's going to work. Okay, let's first try to go to our phpMyAdmin. So notice by the way that we have here test. So let's try to see how many rows will be returned if we try to enter test on our email field. Okay, let's try to copy. Okay, put it here, test. Okay, then 1 2 3, first name Michael, Jordan for contact number 12345. Then log in. Okay, success. Let's go. Okay, so we have 3. Okay, let's hit click browse. Okay, so we have 3 already. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we have 4 because we tried to reload the whole page again. Okay, so if we were to click login, we have success. Should be 4. Okay, then another row will be inserted. Okay, this is actually trying to count the previous row. So how do we prevent the script from execution? So we are going to try to put a condition here. If CTR is greater than 0, okay, let's try to terminate the execution of the script by calling exit. Okay, so let's try it out. Okay, so try to do some debugging. Okay, we have here echo CTR. Reload the page. 1, 2, 3. Success. Going back here. 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have 5. So we were able to check the number of rows. So it means that if we're going to reload, it shouldn't be able to add another row. So click browse. Okay, so no row is added. Okay, so what if, let's say for example, let's try to check sample at email.com. Okay, try to put it here. Sample, since the email is already found, so click login. Okay, again, then reload the page. Okay, so going back to our shopping cart tab. Okay, click here. So we have 1. So basically, it's already found on our table. Okay, but let's say for example, sample at test email.com. Okay, let's try to click login. Okay, should be 0. Okay, so no value is displayed. Okay, so to click browse. Then we have here 7. This is the 7th row. Then say to click login again. Should be able to display here 1. So we have 1. Okay, then go back here again, then reload the page. No value is added. Okay, so let's try to clear our table. Okay, let's try to execute again truncate. So let's try to click SQL, then truncate table members. Okay, then let's try to click go. Click OK. Okay, so we have browse. Okay, so let's try to register this one. Click login. Okay, success. Go back here. Reload the page. Okay, so that's it. We have test at email.com. Now, the next thing that we need to do, since we already successfully created our registration page, let's try to go back to our script, is let's try to redirect. So we're going to use header. Okay. Location. Then let's try to call this one as dashboard.php. Okay. So no, let's try to call this one as try to go back to our main page for our login. So index.php. So basically what will happen is that we will be redirected to our index.php. Then let's try to add a query string. So p is equals to login first time. Okay. So when we talk about query string, this is actually our query string. So query string is also a way for us to pass values on our address bar. So this serves as our variable, and this serves as the value for our variable p. Now let's say for example you wanted to use multiple variables, so we can basically just add the ampersand sign, then create another variable, let's say a, then equals, then we try to specify again the value. But in our case right now, we only wanted to use a single value. So we have here p is equals to login first time. We'll try to use this one later. Let's try to go back also to our registration page. Okay, so we have here alert status. Okay. Let's just try to use this one. So we won't be using this time our success. Let's try to add a custom message. Okay, this is just a simple custom message. So you have successfully registered. Okay. Okay, so this will be our prompt. We will be alerted if we have successfully registered. Okay, so we have here if status is equals to success. You have successfully registered. Okay, so let's try it out. Okay, um, go back here again. Decide to use a different email address. Decide to reload the page. So we'll try to use testemail.com. Then for password 123. Try to use a different name. We will use Scotty Pippin. Okay, then click login. Okay, so we are 200 login for the first time. So we are not being redirected. Okay, so let's try to click browse. Okay, so we have here test@testemail.com. Okay, let's try to do something else because there seems to have an error on our script. Okay, so we don't want that. Okay, go back to our process.registration. So there seems to be an error on our header location. So it seems that we cannot actually uh, redirect. Okay, so how do we redirect, or where can we redirect? Now we can actually use our JavaScript. So we have here, go back to our registration. You have successfully registered. Okay. Okay, we deleted. Okay, so to reload the page. Test. Okay, we have here another. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Dennis Rodman. Okay, click login. Okay, let's try to output this time our status first. Alert. Then we have status. Okay, go back here to our page. Then refresh. 1, 2, 3. So I have to use this one. Mail. And try to click login. So you have your success. So by the way, when you're using JavaScript, you should always remember that it's case sensitive. So ito copy, go back here. As you've noticed, I made a mistake of making this one capital letter. Okay, let's try to use something like that. Okay, let's try to see if it's going to work. Okay. Mailer@email.com 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's try to change the name again. Ron Harper. Okay. So you have successfully registered. Okay, so after the registration, after clicking OK, we should be redirected to our login page. Okay, so try to add this one, window dot location. Okay, index.php p is equals to login first time. Let's try to see if it's going to work. Window.location. So we already deleted what we have here. Okay, then we added window.location. Now basically window.location will also enable us to redirect from one page to another using JavaScript. Okay, say to reload the page, mail at email.com 1, 2, 3, then log in. Okay, click OK. Okay, so don't save. So we are redirected to our login page. So we have here index p is equals to login first time. Okay, so we are currently here. Now, going back here to our registration page, we want to make this one as register. Okay, so decide to go back to our registration page. Decide to change it to, decide to change the bottom name to register. Okay, then save. Okay, then decide to reload. Okay, we have already registered. Okay, decide to close this one. Okay, so that's how we can actually make our, that's how to make our registration page. So there are several ways, by the way, so of doing this one. There's the simpler way, but currently I'm using MySQLi. This one is, as what I've said also earlier, is a way for us to prevent SQL injection. Okay, so this is a much more, a little bit more complicated approach, but it's much more secured approach when doing SQL or when doing database applications in PHP.